Good morning. It's Sunday, November 12th, Pflugerville, Texas. I don't watch TV. I stopped watching TV 20 years ago because it was just trash. Popular, sadomasochistic, encouraging, trailer park trash to fight on TV and who's your daddy, you're the father, real, just garbage. And I had no idea that yesterday, 300,000 non-English and some English, I guess that's, terrorist supporters marched in London. I'm really dismayed. I've been dismayed by the British government for a long time because of their heavy leanings towards just communism. At least they haven't gone to collectivism. They are adopting some forms of socialism. Maggie Thatcher was a little brutal with her universal credit, benefit welfare reform. But I just can't believe it that the authorities, especially, that really stressed. I think that was London Bridge, or one of the main. It's a bridge over the Thames, but at least they weren't marching. They had some training that you have to break step. You cannot, or you can bring. There's a harmonic kind of resonance thing that can bring a bridge down. Of course, as I recall, they still have a Muslim for a mayor of London. If I was the mayor of London, I would have stopped the event, because the event was to bring them, to show them where, the aerials, the drones and everything, helicopters could see 300,000 people crossing one of the biggest bridges over the Thames River in London. London is one of the centers of this planet for commerce, banking. That's where the City of London Incorporated is located. It's a separate entity within the City of London. It's part of the private tax evasion British Empire. But still, it's not your land, terrorists. It's our land. It's part of my homeland. I'm identified primarily as an English Jew, German Jew. I have very little German in me. I look very Germanic. The English are not Germans. They're not Anglo-Saxons. We English are English. As I said before, they could discover this a long time ago by the oxygen isotopes that form into your adult teeth. They know where you grew up, and when you can see, centuries of English teeth in the same area there, that's long before any Anglo-Saxon invaders or even Viking invaders and shit. We are a unique tribe of people who've really actually embraced Jews. We voted for Benjamin Disraeli, the first English prime minister, and there was another prominent. But me, I'm just trying to give you my opinion. If I was mayor, Lord Mayor of, or Mayor of London, I think there's two different offices. Simple. The minute I was watching it, because at the end, you can see that the protesters, the pro-terrorists, I should say, were actually beginning to mix it up with the cops, and the cops were using some sort of kind of reddish-colored spray, maybe pepper spray, to keep them at a distance, because 300,000 people against a handful of cops, unarmed constables, police constables in London, that's bullshit. It could have easily been stopped by just placing on either end of that bridge, and in the areas that approach up to it, there are these things that have been around forever. They're gasoline powered. They have a little engine in them, and they have a large tank. They're called foggers. We had them in corrections work a long time ago. And if you wanted to calm down, a cell block or stop a riot, all you had to do is drag out and fire up a fogger. And especially, you can put irritants in that. You can put that capsaicin, and you can fog all sorts of, you can put anything in that mixture. And it really calms them down when they really can't see each other. They can't really interact each other. And, you know, all you had to do is just use, it wouldn't have taken more than a dozen of those little portable foggers that got like about a 3, 4, 5 gallon tank on them to just completely stop the whole thing. Of course, then we know that the religion of peace would have turned into the religion of pieces. Just remember what I said about the beginning of the war. I'm an old man. I see it coming. I want to finish with this one last story. Walter Cronkite may have been born in Missouri, but he dropped out of the University of Texas before he began his junior year. He became the most trusted man in America. And as somebody who participated in the demonstrations, we marched 500,000 strong in San Francisco back in, 1970, something like that. And that's when I learned demonstrating really doesn't. Can you imagine 500,000 people in a city as small as San Francisco, 49 square miles? San Francisco's tiny, 7 by 7 miles. As somebody who lived through and analyzed the Vietnam War closely, is the moment that the tide really turned was when Missourian turned Texan Walter Cronkite, the most trusted man in America, went to Vietnam, put on some combat fatigues, went onto the battlefield. As I remember, he picked up his left leg and put it on a little hump there and put his elbow, maybe even, and he just simply told the American public, the war in Vietnam is lost. I think that was the exact words. It was Walter Cronkite that put an end to the military industrial profiteering of Vietnam and the endless political shenanigans that didn't want to end the war. Just like right now, if we would just if Israel loose, stop the protests everywhere with simple foggers and shit like that, and just let Israel loose to wipe out the enemy. Those people they're holding the Palestinians hostage. There's hundreds and hundreds of video testimonies of people who claim to be innocent Palestinians who are being threatened and bullied and beaten to not cross the line into South Gaza and escape the combat zone. We need to turn Israel loose. We need to let that dog off the leash. The war is starting. We need to let Israel finish it in that area and let them free to go ahead and nuke the fuck out of Syria. Syria's right on their border, all that shit. It was Syria that stood aside and let Iranians and shit like that and all these people invade, Israel in previous wars. Jordan's been a pretty good cooperative, neighbor. But Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, fuck y'all. Egypt, no Arab country wants Hamas. They don't want the Gazans there. You can check any through the sources. Their own people don't want them because they actually these mostly were people that Israel took in because they were fleeing. They were refugees. What do you call them? What do you think they call them? Refugee camps. They're fleeing these other Islamic areas because of the religious schism in Islam, the religion of peace, where they slaughter, the people they're in conflict with, their own Arab brothers and Muslim brothers. And they do so to, dude, you're not getting in my video, I'm videoing me. You're going by on the slow. You know, we took them in, and they have been for decades, biting the hand that's been feeding them, Israel. You know, yeah, don't have any respect for you people. And, you know, this is what happens. You really need to study the global analysis on Islam. Once they get to 2%, they start taking over the government. The Mayor Khan in London, get it? And if they get to where they get 20% of the population that is adherents to Islam or defenders of the adherence to Islam, that's when the ethnic cleansing begins. You know, the Spanish had the guts to go ahead, and of course it counted a lot of my own people. And because the Jews did assist the Moorish, Muslim, and black African invasion of Spain. But Spain stood up to them and killed them and drove them out of their country because they saw that they were absolutely taking over. So you need to decide whose side you're on. Your home country, the country that you reside in, or with a bunch of fucking baby and child killing, old folk killing, rocket making out of the water pipes that have just destroyed. The lack of water and distribution of water in the Gaza Strip has just turned it into back into a useless desert. So if you support terrorism, don't waste no time talking to me. I'm a straight up fucking Jew. Born a Jew, gonna die a Jew. Been repeatedly had attempts on my life just because I'm a Jew. That Wall lady that was with the synagogue that got, read it briefly, didn't go into it. They released the suspect who stabbed her to death. I got stabbed in the neck with an ice pick right over there by a Christian who tried a hired hitman, meth head probably, who was trying to draw me into even his home and convert me to Christianity or argue against Judaism and in favor of just a complete psychotic schizo. And he worked for an internationally known business. So you better decide about your loyalties, because I guarantee you, and if you're pro-Palestinian, you're fucked. You're on the wrong side of the military-industrial complex. Well, you really got no need for those sand-covered countries other than the oil that's there. Israel only recently discovered oil offshore. It's been 13, 14 minutes. You need to decide. You also need to study some history. And you need to actually, if you're pro-Palestinian, I already know that you are brain damaged by the public schools.